Welcome to the Simply Real Life podcast. I'm Sarah, the founder of Simply Real Health, here to help you simplify, amplify, and elevate your life. This show is for those of you who want the real talk on how to live a more intuitive and intentional life, a life that's healthy from the inside out, and one that feels more effortless, aligned, simple, and more alive. We cover it all, from health, wellness, mindset, motherhood, daily habits and rituals, to business and relationships, creativity and growth, and tiny tricks to feeling your best, and the energetics behind it all filled with personal stories, unfiltered conversations, and of course, answering all of your burning questions, all in the way of simplicity and keeping it real, so that you can create your own version of your healthiest life. Let's do it. Hi guys, welcome back to the show. I cannot believe it's been almost 2 months since I've sat down to record a show. And I didn't really plan on that happening. But as life goes, sometimes I feel like I have gotten better at letting the most important things be the most important things. And sometimes that means that I put all this extra added stress and pressure to myself, which is something I totally used to do all the time, to get everything done perfectly all the time. And so I feel like this has been such a prime example of that, right here live for everyone to see, that kind of took a break for the last 2 months, and not because I was not doing anything or not working, but actually because of the opposite, that for the last couple months, I have been in this deep creation mode and delivery mode, both with private clients and then launching a bunch of new programs that just have been pouring out of me. And it's felt so fun. I also did the 30-day challenge, which was so fun and brand new, but I was creating that as we went through it every single day. Writing an email, creating the challenge of the day, running the group. And I'm that's where my time and energy has been. It's been inside my private containers, inside coaching in the Insiders Club. And then I ran the motherhood pilot. And then we did the 30-day challenge, and then Simply Real Life opened. And then I just opened the Secret Energetics of Food. And so I feel it's just been there's certain times and seasons that are meant for certain things. And I feel like these last couple of months for me have been in total just creation mode. And that is always going to be my number one priority, right? It's the people who are paying to be in my spaces and are there to invest in themselves and show up. I'm my time and energy always gets prioritized to that first. And then it's if I have the extra moment or time to do things like this, write fun emails and just go on Instagram and connect with people and share in stories and come here on the podcast, to answer questions. So if you have been missing the podcast, let me know. And also some of you, this is hilarious because some of you maybe didn't notice at all. And because there was so many other things going on, I think, in the Simply Real Health world, that hopefully you were able to participate in some of those fun things that have been happening. So today, and I think this also sets a precedent for me going forward of I am not committing to doing this every single week, the crazy pressure on myself to perform at this. I really want this podcast to be a place where it's I can come on honestly and share, and do so in the middle of, you will probably hear kids in the background, and it's never going to be quite tidy and perfect how many other shows are. But I feel to me, that is the point and the purpose of this, is being able to come on and in real time share things that I'm going through, answer questions that you all have, do so in a real life context. And so with that being said, I am still loving the podcast. I'm still here. I still love answering questions, but I'm not committing to it being every single week. It may be every other week. It may be once a month in the summer when my kids are home. There's just a lot more going on. And I want this to be a living, breathing example of how I think, as a modern day mother and a woman also running a business that I care so deeply about, is that you can't really do it all at once, at least if you are taking care of your own physical health and mental health and emotional health. And I wish that there was more examples out there of women running businesses and running households and homes and families and being very involved in their communities too, in real life, where it's not just this polished version that we see where everything is so scheduled and perfect and always on time. It's like that to me is not reality. And maybe for some other people it is reality, but to me, that's not the truth of how my life is structured. It's not how I want it to be structured. There's always times and seasons for like go mode and flow mode, right? There's times and seasons when it's my family is the number one thing. There's times and seasons where my work is the number one thing. There's times and seasons where my own health, my mental health or my physical health is like my number one priority. And that can always change and probably should be changing, right? If we're really paying attention and really listening to what our bodies need, to what our souls need, to what our hearts need, to what the people around us really need, that it feels a little bit more like a dance. It's a flexible dance more than like a rigid schedule. And I know some of you will feel me on that so deeply and maybe find it refreshing that I'm like, I'm still here. I'm still doing this. I am still committed. I love this. And there are going to be times when other things are more important and I'm not going to kill myself in the process, just to like make this recording schedule or wherever it may be in your own life, an example of that. Maybe sometimes it's like not every single day the dishes are totally done or out of the sink, or not every day did you have a moment to like tidy up maybe after your kids go to bed, or it's like, it's not every day. It's not perfect. We are not robots. If we're really listening and paying attention, there is a readjustment, I think maybe almost every day, of figuring out what's the most important thing today. If I only have the top three things to get done, what would those three things be? And sometimes we have extra room and bandwidth for other things, or like the number 4, 5, 6 on the list. Great. And other days it's like hard to get through one. And I think that's normal. And I kind of think that can be a good thing too. So that's where I've been. That's what's going on. And I still love hearing from you all and getting questions. And obviously, most of my time is dedicated to my coaching spaces and private clients right now. But I still want to take some time to answer some of these questions because I think they are great ones that will help everyone. I did a Q&A last week and there was like 6 questions that came in all about like cooking, shopping, meal prep. And I just found that so interesting because I have done episodes on it before, but I thought let's do like a little updated version. I'm different now. My family's different now. There's just so many things I think that can change. And specifically heading into a season like summer where there's so much fun food to play with. And I think cooking just gets easier in the summer because there's so many different options. You can serve things cold. You can serve things warm. A lot of times you're not even needing to like utilize the stove very much, or the oven at least. And it's a really good time of year to practice on like actually keeping it simple, of like doing what we say we want to do, which is eat real food and make it simple enough that we can do that in daily life. And I always play this game with myself, like, of course, there's always like, well, I'm tired and today was packed and the kids have sports and we've got all these different things going on, or we have plans later, and you're trying to like fit dinner or cooking or eating well into like the little cracks and crevices of our already busy life. And so I always like to play a challenge with myself whenever I feel like, oh, maybe we should just order takeout or grab something to go. Because I'm like, the food is never that good. It's always twice as expensive, right? And generally doesn't make you feel any better than it would if you were just to like pull some things together at home. And so I always have this challenge for myself of like, what could I make in less time than it would take me to like place an order for food to arrive like lukewarm, that doesn't even taste good, doesn't make you feel good, and is way more expensive. I'm always like, what could I do in 10 minutes? How could I beat the clock of what a delivery would be, or like to place an order to then get in the car and go pick it up? Again, probably depending where you live. But that's a little game I play with myself. And I can usually always come up with something. I think a lot of people would be shocked and surprised, like how actually truly simple I keep our meals. Like, it is not fancy. It would not win any culinary awards, but it gets the job done. And like, that's all I care about in this season of my life, is like eating real food and keeping it simple. And like, can it be done 10, 15 minutes or less? That's most dinners. And I just keep it basic, like a veggie, some type of protein, and some type of like carb or grain or starch. Like, literally, that's it. But I want to get into like a lot of questions came into of like not just like cooking, and we're going to talk about stuff in the summer and just different strategies and ways to make cooking actually happen and a little bit easier on yourself so that you'll do it more. But just even the process of like shopping, meal prep, because I feel like that's even half of it, right? It's like making sure that you have the right stuff on hand, making sure you're kind of thinking through like, what do we need this week? What's our schedule like this week? What activities do we have going on? What's the weather like? I always check, does anybody else do this? I always check the weather for the week before I'm ordering groceries, because that kind of impacts like, are we making like warm soups or roasted dishes this week? Or are we doing more like light, easy salads or pasta salads or deli style salads? So taking into account those types of things each week, and then figuring out ways to like streamline the actual shopping process. I mean, nowadays we have it so easy. We have it so much easier than like our parents and the generations before us. We have grocery delivery, and like now there are so many options, or even placing orders online and then you go to just pick it up and they bring it out to you. It's like that has never existed. Can we get a round of applause for how convenient our lives really are around this stuff if we have a structure or system that helps us actually like do that, and like work it into our weekly routines, and like what day of the week even is that most likely going to work, instead of being ad hoc about everything. So for me right now, this is something I will not stop talking about, especially to my friends. I'm like, okay, do we know about the Whole Foods grocery delivery? And I get that this may be just like where we live and having access to a store like that, but you should check it out and see if this is possible in your area through Amazon, because Whole Foods orders Amazon. I don't love like promoting Amazon, but like this actually saves me hours every single week of my life, and enables us to like eat really well. And not in me, this stage of life, I do love going to the grocery store. I have always loved that. But like in this stage of my life, an hour and a half of my day, there are so many other things I could be doing with that hour and a half of the day that feel more intentional to me and feel more aligned. And maybe it's the hour and a half of my day to get some good work done, like deep work, high quality stuff, coaching work, working with clients, things that are like actually meaningful. It could be more time with my kids. It could be like with that time I am getting to squeeze in a workout or an extra, like going on a walk, getting fresh air, taking care of those things. And I just think utilizing something like that saves your time, and you end up spending like the time cooking or prepping or pulling stuff together, and that being your food time versus it being that plus the amount of time it takes to go to the store and back and then unload, and then you're wandering the store, and then it like takes longer because you're not really sure. You're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants, and that looks good, and maybe I'll get that. And then you end up stuff that's like with things that go bad, and then you have to throw them out. It's this whole thing. So I find doing it online really saves so much time. I go through Amazon and I click on the Whole Foods button, and I do the monthly membership for delivery, which is about $10 a month for unlimited delivery. And to me, that feels so worth it, right? Instead of some of the other platforms like Instacart, and it's like you get the fees and then there's the tip and then there's this. And by the end of the day, doing one order, you have like, there's so much extra cost built in versus something like a grocery pickup for even like a store like QFC. Can place the order online through their app, and then you go to the store and pick it up. Some people really prefer to do that, or they're out, driving around town a lot more and it's easy for them to do that, or you have the capacity, to do that. You prefer it. I right now get them delivered, and then in the Whole Foods app, they have this place where you can set up repeat items. So every single week, I think I have it set up for Sunday or Monday. Every single week, all of my staples get added to the cart. And then before I go through and like place the order to go through, I just go through and quickly edit. I'm like, okay, maybe we need one more pepper here and one less avocado, and we still have some bananas, so bump that number down. Oh, okay, I don't need ground beef, this week. Take that off. I'm going to do chicken instead or something like that. And so I just have this list, and it just gets automatically added. It saves so much time and energy versus starting from scratch every single time that you are needing to order groceries. And what I do is like all of our basics and staples, they're things that to me can be used in multiple ways, so they never go bad. It's like if I order vegetables that keep really well and keep for a couple of days, things like broccoli and carrots and peppers and cucumbers, it's like I can use all of those things. I could cut them up and put them in the kids' lunches, or I could could be cutting up the peppers to grill the peppers, or doing stuffed peppers, or like chopping it up. And then that goes in our ground turkey for the taco meat. Just having things that work in multiple ways is so helpful. And so I tend to gravitate towards foods and types of foods that can do many different jobs, like depending on the weather, depending on the season, depending on what we've got going on. And so here are some of my weekly staples: bell peppers, cucumbers, carrots, gluten-free bread, raw cheese, apples, mini oranges, bananas, berries, blueberries, especially my kids have those every day. Organic chicken. Again, I can use that organic chicken in multiple ways. So the chicken could be baked and then shredded. It could be grilled. It could be in the Instant Pot, and then it's covered in like a green salsa or a mild salsa. And then I just shred the chicken when it's done, So it's like that chicken, I may not know exactly the meal I'm going to make with it, or exactly have I do not work with a meal plan, I don't have my days all planned out, but I have little structures and little systems that are easy to repeat of chicken. Okay, I could probably do that in 5 different ways, depending on what's going on, depending on the time, depending on the schedule. I also always order sweet potatoes and potatoes. I always do an order of either mixed greens or arugula or spinach, some type of green, or sometimes it's kale if I want to do a kale salad, some type of greens. Again, you can use those in a smoothie. You can turn them into a salad. You can throw some arugula on eggs, or you can make a quinoa salad and put some greens on top and mix it in for an easy lunch. Avocado, we go through a lot of those. Full fat cottage cheese, full fat Greek yogurt. That's more for the kids' breakfast. But also I bake with it a lot. I do a great, easy homemade pizza with cottage cheese as the base. That's in the cooking club. And then yogurt, we can do yogurt bowls, or I blend it up into the chocolate protein mousse. There's so many different parfaits in the morning, so many different ways to use these basic ingredients. Then let's see what else. Eggs, almond milk. I always do olives and crackers. If we're going to do snack plates on the weekend, or sometimes for the kids' lunches, it's more of they'll do organic, nitrate-free turkey pepperoni with raw cheese, and then olives and some crackers and some apples, more snack plate style. Always a couple bars of dark chocolate, both kind. I love the 90% alter ego mint chocolate. So good. An onion in case I'm doing any type of soup, or a tomato sauce. Hummus, same thing, can be used in so many different ways. I always get organic chicken. I always get organic grass-fed ground beef, and I always get organic ground turkey, because again, those 3 things, I find that I can use them in multiple ways. It could be in taco bowls. It could use that same ground meat and mix it into tomato sauce with chopped peppers and chopped zucchini. And then I put that over pasta. Could make that into meatballs. You know what I mean? It's you can use the same ingredient in so many different ways. And there's, to me, that simplifies everything. I don't need to have a set plan. I just can keep it simple with these basic things, and they get added to my cart every week. I would say on average, I do definitely one big order a week, usually in the beginning of the week. And then sometimes I'll do a smaller order towards the end of the week, for the weekend. So we don't really eat out. I know that's kind of rare. I just find that I'm it's just not as good unless we're going out for a date night or going out with friends. I don't find it ever worth it to be going out and grabbing food, especially with kids. It's just I don't know, just not my ideal way to spend money or time. So we tend to not, and just really eat at home most, probably 99% of the time. So I know that varies by family. It's in no way to say that that's better. Everybody's got to do what works for you and what feels good. But at least in this stage of life, I'd rather spend my time with my people, right? As opposed to be out and spending money on takeout, and just, it's never as good. And then I can keep the norm in our house is everybody eats veggies, at almost every meal. A good protein or healthy fat, and then a grain. Just keep it that simple. So in terms of strategy, once I have the supplies, I find it really helpful to make one thing every week that is just a make ahead style. So I will make a pot of beans in the Instant Pot. That takes, 20 minutes, a pot of pinto beans, a pot of black beans, a pot of white beans with rosemary and garlic, just one pot of beans. It's so simple. Dump the beans in, twice as much water, a little bit of salt. Turn on the Instant Pot. You just have to check the timing for the Instant Pot. Sometimes it's 4 minutes for something like red lentils, and sometimes it's more 40 minutes for a a white bean that's dried. So a great way to use pantry staples, and you're turning it into like a full meal or something that can be like you're building a meal around that one thing. And I find it easier to have, if I have one thing made, I'm more likely to then be like, okay, what can I build around that? Or how can I incorporate that one thing I decided to make and turn it into a meal or a side, or you're mixing it into something. So I will do something. These are just examples of what I would do for like a make ahead, or I'll make a batch of quinoa. And then that quinoa, I can chop veggies, put a quick dressing on it, mix in some greens if I want, put some of the beans. If I happen, maybe I'll do a can of beans if I hadn't cooked them in the Instant Pot. But like a batch of quinoa can, again, do so many different things, go so many different ways, and just makes it very easy. And the whole thing takes 10 minutes. Again, you're dumping dried quinoa in a pot of water, adding twice as much water, a little salt, bring it to a boil. Once it's boiling, you turn it off and let it sit for 10 minutes and you're done. Literally, that's it. I'm like, anyone can do this. If you can boil pasta water, you can do this. Another quick, easy, like make ahead is just doing a big thing of pulled chicken. So you could either bake the chicken and then put it in a sauce and keep it in the fridge. So you could do like an enchilada sauce. You could do like a mild green salsa. You could do a tomato sauce even. You could do just like Italian seasoning with garlic powder and sea salt and pepper. And like that is a great thing to go into salads, to go into soups, to mix into like a deli style salad. So doing pulled chicken is super easy. It takes 10 minutes in the Instant Pot, and it makes a great base for so many other meals. Or the other thing I'll do is just do like a big thing of ground meat. So ground turkey or grass-fed on beef, and do like a clean taco seasoning packet, like Siete brand or something similar. And it's ready to go. And then we can make taco salads, and then I can make quesadillas, or then I can make taco bowls with like, or a rice bowl. But like having one thing done for the week, to me, makes the rest of the week feel a lot easier. And it's not always perfectly done on like Sunday. Sometimes it's like Monday or Tuesday. I'm trying to figure out, it's whatever Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday that I feel like I have the time or space to make something that will like give us a little bit of leftovers, like really helps, I think, the next couple days in the week. Then in the summer specifically, I always buy veggies that I could either roast or eat raw or grill. So depending like on the week, on the weather, what's going on, the go-tos for grilling would be zucchini, peppers, eggplant. Things like asparagus are all great and easy. If I know that it's going to be more of like a roasting situation, which is a little less in the summer, but like green beans, broccoli, cauliflower, like carrots are great to roast, sweet potatoes. And then I always have like a section of just like the raw chopped veggies, because that's what I tend to add in a lot of these like deli style salads, kale salads, bean salads, pasta salads. So just like extra cucumbers, extra peppers, things like sometimes tomatoes. It just depends on what we're doing. Feta cheese, goat cheese. Herbs are really helpful in the summer, just like even growing a little basil plant and growing a chive plant is really, those are the two that I tend to use the most. I feel like they are the most versatile in terms of fresh herbs, and really make things just like go to the next level in such a quick way. You just snip a few leaves over the top and it just brings so much flavor, and can just be a really easy thing to like have in your kitchen. What else? There's also things like the way that I think about the prep. I'm like, there's stuff I can do quickly in the Instant Pot. There's sheet pan or like roasted stuff. There's the deli style salad, or like kale salad, photo shoot style salad, different types of pasta salads, quinoa salads. That's what I tend to rely on the most in summer, because we are often on the go. We are often down at the beach. We are often like doing picnics, or bringing food to friends. And I feel like those are the easiest because you can make them either a little bit ahead in the day and they're still good by dinner time, or you can make them the night before and like they stand up pretty well. The other thing I will say is just like keeping an eye on your staple stock in general really helps. Like having chicken broth and dried beans and gluten-free pasta and quinoa and things like jarred olives and jarred pesto and jarred tomato sauce, having good quality, like for us, like gluten-free oats helps. Almond flour, so I can make quick like scones and stuff with leftover fruit. Just, I keep an eye on that, and I try to just take a quick browse before I place my order. Or if I go through things during the week and I'm like, oh, we're out of mustard, then I'll quickly go into the app and just add it, so that when I do a grocery order, those things are included, so that I'm not having to like reinvent things from scratch. If you feel like you struggle more on like the what to make more than okay, how do we fit this into a busy life? I would really encourage you to come check out the Cooking Club. This is my recipe membership site where every week I share a brand new recipe. And then I also share three, I call them the weekly three, like three recipes that week that would be perfect for this season. And usually it's maybe like a healthy baked good, something for the morning, a muffin, a scone, some kind of healthier cookie or baked oatmeal or something that you can make ahead or almost have like in the treat category. And then something that's more of like a protein base. And then maybe it's like a salad or a make ahead or the deli style. And so it almost takes out that question of like, I don't even know what to make. I don't even really know what's in season. I just need ideas. And then the rest of the Cooking Club, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of recipes. You can search by ingredient that you have already. If you have broccoli, it's about to go bad in the fridge. Or if you have like rotisserie chicken, you're like, what can I do? You type that in and it will spit out, 30, 40 ideas using rotisserie chicken that are all easy, simple, real food, 5 ingredients or less, helping you get dinner on the table in under 15 minutes. That's the whole point. And you can imagine with a brand new recipe every week, I'm like, it's the recipe that I am currently making for my family. So it's quick. It's definitely easy. It's usually kid approved too. And just taking that extra thought and like the mental load that so many of us are already carrying for so many other things of just making it easy and just giving you tons of ideas. And then on that homepage, when you log in, you see the new recipe, you see the weekly three, and then it also goes down by like, here's all the lunch ideas, here's all the breakfast ideas, here's all the make ahead salad ideas, here's all the grilled ideas, here's different freezer meals. There's just like so many categories. You can search by season. It just keeps it easy and simple. And if that feels like you're like, oh, I would love that. Like that's the reason why I created it. It's like so many women that I talk to are just like, like I just can't think of things on the fly, or I just like forget the things that work really well. Or I want to keep trying new stuff because I get bored easily. This is a great place to go. Then we also have both cookbooks. If you prefer just having like a book that you can visit often. It's not just a book that's going to sit around and gather dust, but the Simply Real Health Cookbook and then the Simply Real Eating Cookbook are both two great resources too if you don't already have it. The first cookbook, the Simply Real Health Cookbook, is where I would start if you don't have it already, or between the two, if you're looking at which one to start with. The first cookbook has like 150 of my go-to weekly staple recipes. Like every dressing I use, every make ahead salad I make the most often, every dessert I made the most often, the breakfast ideas we use the most. Like it is like the standard. I'm like, I want to call it like the Bible of healthy cooking made easy. And it's the best place to start. Has family friendly stuff. It's all of it's gluten free and there's so many of them that are also dairy free and just nut free and just, they have little markers and little icons on each page to tell you what's what. And then Simply Real Eating is like the next level. It's like when you want to make things more interesting or make things that are slightly different, but still real food and still healthy, but just wanting more of those ideas for like entertaining and just more special dishes and more of around the ritual of cooking in a healthy way. And so both are great options. And those are all resources for you just to keep getting some new ideas, like keep it fresh. And it's also a great challenge for me, to be honest, on the back end of it, to be forced to create something every week and using the same types of ingredients almost for all of these recipes, but making them in different ways. And I think it just proves the point that over the last like 7 years since I've had the Cooking Club, I'm like, there's always something new you can make that keeps it simple, keeps it healthy, and hopefully keeps you inspired to like get back into the kitchen, even if it's just for 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes a day can change so much. There's so much of the all or nothing mentality and the perfectionist mentality when it comes to cooking of like, if we can't do it 110%, what's the point of trying? If we can't just get in there and make these gourmet meals that just like blow our hats off, then what's the point of doing any? And that's the mentality that really has to change for you to get out of your own way, to just be like 10 minutes does count. It does matter. Any amount of time that I am, even just throwing ingredients in a blender to make a smoothie, that probably takes 4 minutes total. But somehow we end up saying, I don't have time. I don't have time to do that. Or like, what's the point of doing that? Or, it'd be quicker to just order or do something else. But really watching like where your mentality is and the limiting beliefs that you may have, the voices that are in your head that are telling you otherwise, or the stories of like scarcity and lack and limit, and I don't have the time and I don't have the energy and I don't know what to do and I don't know what to cook. It's like there are ways quickly and easily to like get through, navigate those voices and be like, no, it does. It all matters. It all counts. It all adds up. Food is something that we have to eat multiple times a day to stay alive. And so at least even in like one of your meals a day, could you try seeing like what can you do with 10 minutes on the clock and really good staples in your house and like groceries maybe delivered to you? If, you know, like let's take down as many of the barriers to entry as we can to make it easier for you to actually execute versus using all of that time and mental energy on ordering out, using all of it to like go to the grocery store, to then wander around, to then fill your cart with stuff that you don't need or is extra. I just think there's so many ways that we can help ourselves out, but a lot of it has to start with that mentality and the way that we talk to ourselves. So I hope that this is helpful and maybe reinvigorates you to get back in the kitchen, even in the summer, and to just pull some things together and start to think of it as, I can do this. You know, this doesn't have to be hard. I don't have to make it complicated. I can make some simple, basic things that are going to make me feel great, going to make my family feel great. And so I can use our time and energy and resources in ways that actually matter and really, really add up. I love you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And let me know if you have any questions about anything we talked about today or any like specific food questions or meal prep questions. I'm always happy to answer them. You can come over and find me at Simply Real Health on Instagram. And I love you all. I hope you have a great rest of your week and be back soon. If you enjoyed this episode and want more like it, make sure you're subscribed to the Simply Real Life podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and maybe share it with a friend or two. That would mean the world.